I love this setup. You also have a glow about you after a week 1 dub.
Well,
in heinous fashion, let's be honest.
I feel like we must start with McCaffrey.
Okay, that's fair. I'm trying to avoid it, but
we had a very long conversation where you did everything in your power to give me the first pick because you did not want to take him.
Well, and this is why.
This is why. And then we had another long conversation about why I didn't want him. He's the unanimous number 1 pick.
People would have scoffed hearing our conversation about, they'd be like, why in the hell would it take, why are they even laboring over this decision?
I know. Murf, week 1, he's out. It's unfucking believable. It's unbelievable.
Week 1. And also moments before kickoff, and I have Breece Hall. I'm already playing him. So he's the other running back going into Monday night. So I don't have any other option. And you're not blowing a waiver move, for the love of Christ, in 2-man dance on a handcuff. Like, we just don't do that.
Now, interestingly, had you known he was going to have the game he had, you probably would have wavered him.
These are uncharted waters. Is it fair to say, even in 2-man dance, we've not been in a position where week 1, you have to make a decision to burn a precious, which younger me, I would have fucking thrown a waiver. I would have thought nothing of it. But I now know that these are too precious. I didn't get the extra. You have an extra one because of this trade that we made on draft day. I don't have the extra waiver. So I'm not by any means playing with house money. And I might still, like McCaffrey, this might come up at another point. But what am I going to do? What would you have done in that situation? Would you have burned a waiver? Even if you knew, you burn a waiver and you take your only choices. Like I said, I have Breece Hall already. So the only choice there is to take McCaffrey's handcuff, essentially, which it's gross.
I think I probably would not have, but I probably would have if the score was a little bit closer.
A little closer. That was the other thing, as I looked at it and I thought I still needed a big effort. If it was within that, that's the other thing. The decision where I just put it out of my mind and I said, let go, let God, was like the gods of fantasy. I was like, listen, if this was within 10 to 15 points, I would have probably made a different decision. And still, I don't know if that is, because you still had, who did you still have to go? You weren't done
I still
yet.
had Garrett Wilson.
You had Wilson. So it's like I was in a weird spot, unfortunately, week 1. Final score, you ended up handily 165 to 131.
All right, so I'm up 34 with a 1-0 record.
Which is not great. Let's be honest. Right out of the gates, 34 is difficult because I just punted on a whole fucking roster spot. If Tyreek Hill can get, be the victim of police brutality and waltz out there and have the game he had,
and then he catches the longest touchdown of his career.
So
unbelievable.
Good. Yeah. Great ACAB performance. ACAB performance of the week by Tyreek Hill. But yeah, well, now that we talk through it as well, I start to see the nuances just for the future. It'll never be McCaffrey. I will never, I don't give a fuck. I don't care if he wins me a ring this year. He's gone. He's off Big Sloppy. It doesn't matter what happens. I will never have that man on my team again. Mark it right. And it's now on record. I'm saying it on mic. Never again, Tom. Never again.
Murph, it's so cruel.
Gross.
If it was anyone else, it would just be like, yeah, this is what happens. But it's just like, I saw
it. I had visions.
You didn't want it. You knew. It's like someone that has an ice cream sundae every night. And then one night they're like, I'm going to be good. I'm going to be good tonight. I'm just going to have an apple. And then that apple gives them salmonella or something. Yes. It's just like you were.
They just bite in and a bunch of worms crawl out into their mouth. Let that be a lesson to myself.
Yeah.
Gut. Go with the gut. The brain, the sensibility. I said, I'm coming in. I'm going to be sensible this draft. I'm going to be sensible. Well, this is what sense and sensibility leads me to. Is this fucking nonsense? And now this is going to be every goddamn week, too. This ain't over by a long shot with me and McCaffrey.
No,
I've already called him into my office twice.
He's questionable for week 2. They don't know if he's going to play.
No. So here we go. Now away we go with the McCaffrey problem we thought was a cute little title for, for an episode at the beginning of the season. We should call every fucking episode the McCaffrey problem for me for the rest of the season.
It's true.
This is going to be the rest of the year with this shit.
Yeah, you thought the McCaffrey problem wasn't whether to take him at 1. It's the new name of your team.
It's the new name of my team is now the McCaffrey problem. No, he's such a fucking distraction from a phenomenal week otherwise. Love the bird stack. The Eagle stack was phenomenal. Like a little bit, I could see better from Hurts. I want to see better from Hurts, and I think I will. But Barkley was the guy I wanted him coming into this draft to begin with, and I'm very glad at least it's not all negative. I want to at least see the positive here too. As Barkley's debut was divine.
I mean, it's hilarious how amazing he looks the first millisecond that he's not on the Giants.
Oh God, yeah. No, all my friends who are Giants fans, oh, they're furious. Their team is so bad, and not only that, but yeah, they have the insult to injury of Barkley just haunting them within the division with this effort that he's given here. They're just looking bad, but we don't need to shit on the Giants too much. Your Bears, as much as, Caleb, you figure it's going to be, he's a rookie, his first start out, he's all over the place, but that defense and special teams of the Chicago Bears, I might have to scoop them off waivers.
Yeah, you should. It's like by far the best looking Bears offense on paper of my life. And then it's very funny to me that they have less than 100 passing yards, and the defense bails them out just like every other Bears team my entire life. It's like they're the same team. It's the same team.
How is this happening?
It just felt like Rex Grossman was out there again. That's just completely what I'm used to. Their offense can't.
Well, you're right. It was the flip of like, now you're like, wait a minute, are Urlacher and Devin Hester like on this team? Like, what is going on?
Yeah.
Tom, all right, let me just say this. We don't need to talk about it much week one because it's week one, but I'm just going to float. We don't have a trade block officially, within the app, but I'm just going to say, who's on the block. McCaffrey's on the block. Let's
Murf,
just say it.
I don't want to get within 100 yards of Christian McCaffrey this year.
Oh my!
You can drop him. I won't pick him up.
I
don't want him. After seeing this conversation we had and what happened, not just to him that he's not playing week one, but Puka. I think having him on your team might be rotting your team from the inside.
He's a poison in the locker room. That my entire organization, he's poisoned it. I mean, I had a strong start.
Your start was incredible.
Those Thursday, Friday games.
I had already I'm not winning week one. I hope I'm within like 40 points or something. And then you had a really incomprehensibly disastrous Sunday night, Monday night.
Between Laporta and St. Brown, I'm like, combined, they only had like 6 catches.
Then Puka gets injured. He's out for 4 weeks. And then McCaffrey doesn't play. It's unfucking believable.
You're right that after Thursday, Friday, I should have felt, for a split second, I did feel that this is an ideal start to the season after those Thursday, Friday games.
Yeah, you were projected to beat me by like 60 at that point.
60-some points after that, yes. Oh, I saw the Yahoo projections. Those projections can go right to hell in a handcar. Real fast. They can hop on McCaffrey's back and ride straight to hell. Here's the other thing. When you lose games, this also shouldn't matter, but it's going to matter. You're going to think about this kind of shit. To not win week one when you have Cooper Kupp on the bench is tough. That's a tough, because of course, coming back, I wouldn't have started Cooper Kupp either in your position, but you end up with leaving 33 on the bench, and I still get my ass handed to me. That's a problem. I mean, I need a week 2 win desperately is where I'm at right now, because McCaffrey, if he's even a game time, I might not play him regardless. I need to send a message.
It's also, there's a cruelty. I always have McCaffrey.
Always. I've never had him. This is my first rodeo with him, and he's fucking bucking me off.
We've very clearly said there will be no fantasy football advice on this podcast. And yet, this is the only fantasy football podcast where you could have gotten the advice, do not take Christian McCaffrey number 1, which would have been the most helpful advice you could have gotten.
Tom, you're right. You're right. We're not an advice podcast, but read between the lines if you're listening. Read between those lines, because you're right. No one else would have had the minerals. I'm back to wild. Listen, I'll never approach a draft sensibly again as long as I live. I can say that too. The sensibility is for the birds. And listen, even if I only win a ring every 4 or 5 years, I got to do it my way. I'm going blue eyes on this one.
Well, that's
I'll say, CMC regrets. I've made a few.
Really, none of the top. If you look at our whole first 4 rounds, the only person that really had a lights out game was Tyreek.
Yep, you're right. No, Robinson and Hall are both pretty pedestrian.
Yeah.
Because I'm also just going to start moving forward. I'm just going to start addressing them as the top 2 running backs, because that's it for me. I can't even say you know what? I'm done saying his name at this point. So just anyone listening, Tom, you included, if it starts to get confusing because I'm just not acknowledging him, it just you know where I'm at. Ah! Oh, I knew it. I fucking knew it, too. This is like that Kelsey year, too. I think there was a year, if we go back, that I wanted to take Kelsey. Well, there's a year you took Kelsey number 1, and I was going to take him, and I pretended the whole draft like that was not. I was like, oh, you took Kelsey 1. And I was furious because I was like, oh, no, that could be the and it was the and then I watched it all year where I was like, God damn it. I knew it was over week 1 that year with Kelsey. And it's a similar feeling. I'm not going to lie.
I mean, we got a long way to go.
We sure do. We sure do, Tom. We sure do. Yeah. Well, Saquon right now is the sleeper pick, I would say. At least.
Absolutely.
This team, you go from you have those rose colors. You have those beautiful glasses on after the draft.
Yeah.
And then you start looking at this now. I'm just going down the list like bust, bust. Like this just took a dark turn here.
If you win week 2, you're right back in it.
I am. No, this could be a very different conversation. But if I lose week 2, oh boy. I mean, listen to this. What's funny too is it's now a calf and an Achilles issue. This is what is being said by Shefty. It appears McCaffrey's injury is far more serious than first thought. Mason will be a top 12 running back option until CMC can return. We went in talking about the calf. We're coming out talking about the Achilles. This is what's infuriating about this is that a calf issue. I mean, I have calf issues daily. Like I'm always waking up dehydrated. When my first piss in the morning, I'm walking in hobbling on 2 calves. But an Achilles issue is something we probably should have discussed a little more at length before the season started.
Do you know the cats on the roof joke?
No, what's this?
I don't know if I want to tell it. It's like I'll try to tell it fast. Okay, so a guy's taking care of his brother's cat, and then the brother calls and he's like, "Hey, how's my cat doing?" And then the other brother goes, "Oh, I'm sorry, man, your cat died." And he goes, what? Oh, why'd you just tell me like that? And then the brother's like, "Well, what should I have done?" And he's like, you should have given me a little time to get used to it. So you should have started with like cats on the roof. And it's like, okay, cats on the roof. And then the next day I call, how's the cat doing? Still on the roof. We called the fire department. They're trying to get it down. Calls on the 3rd day. How's the cat doing? Oh, I'm sorry, man. Your cat passed away. I would have had some time to get used to it. Okay, man. I'm sorry. I'll do that next time. It's okay. Anyway, how's mom doing? Mom's on the roof. I'll cut that. That was too long. But basically, I don't need to get in the whole joke. It was too long of a joke. I don't need to get in the whole joke.
No. That is.
But basically, what's happening is this is their slow way of telling them Christian McCaffrey will not play this season. This is how
McCaffrey is on the roof. This is the way you're telling me. You're right. You're right.
This is a slow drip of little nagging things before they put it.
You're
before they put
absolutely
him on IR, and then suddenly it's going to be he's out a minimum until week 7.
Well, look, I can put McCaffrey on the bench for a week and catch my breath here, is my point. Mm-hmm. As long as I win next week. If I don't win next week, then there's no catching a breath. Then I have to go for triple night moves and just go for broke.
I'm feeling torn about a night move this week.
Listen, why don't you get your rest? Why don't you rest? I don't need you up in the middle of the night this week. Nobody does. Listen, you're a father. You're a husband. Just listen. Stick to your get your rest. Tend to your family this week. We'll leave the night moves to those of us who've been through some trauma this week.
All right, I'll tell you what. I'll give you a no night move guarantee tonight.
What? All right. Well, now you're baiting me into it, though. Now I'm going to.
Here's what I'm saying. If you don't do it, just if I look.
That's fair.
If I wake up tomorrow morning and there's no night move from you, I might have to do something.
All right. Well, that's reasonable. That's beyond reasonable. All right. The night moves will be revealed next week. The full draft eps are both out now at this point to catch up on where we're at. And now we're at week 1, and now we're going to be week to week here. We're going to be recapping every week. Oh, what a start!
Unbelievable!
What a start!
I can't believe he's out already.
Do we need anything else, or are we keeping it cash? I mean, I think we should keep.
I think we keep it cash. We just do that.
I could throw a little
whoosh solves
all.
Whoosh. Yeah, we just whoosh when we're done.
That's perfect.